What do you do if a bird shits on your windscreen? The man standing beside me at the bar was the kind of man who tells you a joke as if he's doing you a favor. The joke itself to this kind of man is neither here nor there. It's a joke, it's funny, it makes people laugh. And that's how this kind of man defines himself. He's a funny man. He tells jokes, he makes people laugh. He's a real character, this fellow. He's the kind of man who says, "Cheer up, mate, it might never happen." And I fucking hate people like that. But as I looked more closely at him, already weighing up how to brush him off, I realized that as well as being the kind of man who happily tells jokes to complete strangers, he was also the kind of man whose natural response to any perceived slight is to shove a broken glass in your face. He was, without doubt, a nasty piece of work. He wasn't particularly big. In fact, physically, he wasn't up to much at all. It was just that everything about him exuded violence. From the way he was standing at the bar, taking up far too much room, almost inviting someone to bump into him and spill his drink, to the lunatic gleam in his slightly off-kilter eyes. He was clearly a mean little bastard. He even had tough-looking teeth. So instead of just blanking him or giving him a fuck-off look, I decided it was best to play safe and go along with him. "Sorry?" I said, half smiling at him, affecting a kind of harmlessly preoccupied look. I was miles away there. "What do you do?" he repeated, in exactly the same tone as before, "if a bird shits on your windscreen?" "I don't know," I said. "What do you do if a bird shits on your windscreen?" He grinned. "You don't ask her out again." I'd been preparing myself to force a smile, whatever the punchline was, but the little snort of laughter I let out when it came was actually quite genuine. "You like that one, eh?" the joker said. "Yeah, not bad," I admitted. "I got plenty more." "I bet you have," I thought. Thankfully, I saw the barman approaching then, and by the time I'd caught his eye and ordered 2 pints of Stella, paid for them and got my change, the joker had found someone else to talk to. A big lunk of a man with a massive head, an equally massive neck, and arms like 2 legs of pork. From the way the joker was leaning in towards this man, the man bowing down to let him whisper in his ear, I guess they weren't complete strangers. I should have left then. I should have just walked away. But I made the mistake of glancing at the joker and giving him a see-you-later nod, and just as I was doing that, he dismissed the lunk with a slap on the shoulder and turned his attention back to me. "So," he said, grinning his grin again, "who do you fancy in the next one, then?" We were in a place called Juno's, an upmarket fitness and leisure complex on the south side of Riverside Business Park. It was a relatively new venture, having opened up just over a year ago, and it marketed itself as a high-class lifestyle experience that catered for all the needs of an exclusive, membership-only clientele. As well as the usual state-of-the-art gymnasium and fitness facilities, it boasted an Olympic-sized swimming pool, squash courts, saunas, spas, jacuzzis, a sports hall, a fancy restaurant, several bars, a high-tech conference hall, and a dozen or so private rooms available to members at daily or weekly rates. I'd never been to Juno's before. I feel sick if I go anywhere near a gymnasium, but I'd seen it in passing quite often, and from the outside it looked fairly anonymous. A 3-story pale brick building set in 3 barren acres of concrete, metal fencing, and prefabricated warehouses. It had always reminded me of the kind of place where you'd find the local tax office, or a citizens' advice center or something. But on the inside, it couldn't have looked less like a tax office. The top 2 floors were cordoned off for the night, and the only areas of the ground floor open to the public were the lobby, the sports hall, the bar, and the toilets. So admittedly, I hadn't seen all that much of the place. But what I had seen was all quite luxurious, albeit in a tacky kind of way. Thick red carpeting, marble pillars, brass railings, gilt-framed oil paintings on the walls. Several of the paintings were of the